Hello and welcome. So, do you ever have that thing that somebody told you, which was like this best advice and it changed your life forever? Well, we're going to discuss some of the things that we heard and it changed our lives. I think it'll be super fun and some goofy stuff too, but stay tuned after this. Hello and welcome back. Who am I? I'm Antoinette. And I own a company, Pixel This, which is a full service design firm. So we just specialize in getting your brand, your product, your voice out there to the people who you actually are trying to target to get your stuff and make your company grow. The whole thing is a lot of people they think putting things out there or doing ads, if it doesn't connect with the right people or it's sending the wrong message, you're actually doing yourself some harm. So give me a call and we'll fix you right up. But first, I got to introduce Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura Fickett. I own Fickett Financial Education and Business Coaching. Today, we're going to talk about advice, and I give people advice for free. I do free consultations. So if you have issues going on in your financial life and you don't know how to navigate through them, I'm a CPA, I have an MBA, I can help. So give me a call. We'll set up a free consultation, and we'll make you a little bit more wealthy for the next year and for the rest of all your years. But some good advice that I got, one really good piece of advice that I got from my aunt who passed away at a ripe old age of 103 just this last year. She told me that dessert isn't meant to fill your stomach. And so if you want ice cream or you want to indulge in chocolate or you want something like that, you want the taste. That's what you're looking for. You actually don't need it to fill your belly. So fill your belly with good food first and then get the taste of chocolate or just a spoonful of ice cream. And that's enough. You don't need a whole bowl. And I've thought about it before. And I watched my husband consume like a banana split and all this other stuff. I'm like, whoa. But really, I just do want the taste. So I've learned that if I'm hungry, get something that's good for me, like a fruits and vegetables, dinner, lunch, whatever. But then if I want the taste of something sweet, I'll just take a spoonful or 2 spoonfuls of ice cream. And then maybe 10 minutes later, I want the taste again, then another spoonful. But now I've only had 3 spoonfuls instead of a whole bowl of empty calories that don't help me. It really is it's been life-changing for me in managing my weight with a thyroid problem and everything like that. It's been fantastic.
I don't know if that would work for me. I'm
well, you can't even chew one piece of gum instead of chewing 100. So maybe, I don't know, but yeah. Try it. Try it and see.
Sometimes it's like you said, it's almost the philosophy change, and then that does work.
Once you do it, it's fine because you really don't need a bowl of ice cream is not going to fill your belly in a way that you want it to be filled. Yeah. You really just want the taste, or at night sometimes I like the cold.
Yeah.
I like the coldness.
And creamy or something like that.
But you eat desserts slow, just a little bit. You don't have to wolf those down.
So I heard this and I thought it was very interesting. And this was by Wayne Dyer, which I don't know if you know him, but he's since passed away. But he was kind of this real happy guy that would give people these did audiobooks and books about just kind of how to live your life in a more peaceful way. So one of the things he said, which I thought was very interesting, was, when somebody cut you off or, someone, has all these expletives or whatever, he goes, why did that happen? So people will go, well, that guy cut me off and that guy, this happened or that. And he's like, that's not it. So he goes, if that same thing happened to, let's say, Mother Teresa, she's not going to have the same response. And then he equated to this. He's like, okay, if you squeeze an orange, what comes out?
Juice.
Yeah. So he goes, it's not a trick question. You squeeze an orange, juice comes out. So when you get squeezed, what's coming out of you is you. So if you want, well, you know what I mean? So if all those expletives and whatever, that's living inside of you. It's not the person that cut you off. It's not this, it's on that. That doesn't live inside of, a peaceful, happy person. So if you don't like what's coming out of you, change what's inside of you.
And
that was so huge for me because I realized, I think it's when I first started realizing that you actually shouldn't be so reactive, but be more proactive. And, you could choose to be happy every single day. You could, and it is a choice. And I think too many people let the day dictate their moods rather than let their moods dictate their day.
Yeah, it's true. It's better to be happy than sad.
Yeah.
One thing I heard very similar to that was good advice or good information is like you're bombarded with millions of things constantly. But say you buy a vehicle that's yellow, like I have a yellow vehicle. Then I suddenly notice a bunch of yellow vehicles where I didn't notice them before. Now, all these people didn't go out the same day as me and get a yellow vehicle. It's because you have a reticular activating system that sorts through information and only feeds your brain things from your environment that it thinks you want or that you're focused on. So once I started focusing on the yellow vehicle, that's when it started showing me all the other yellow vehicles. And so, like, if I'm constantly focused on negative things, I also think that's when, like, negative things come out, negative thoughts. And so I've trained my brain to have, like, positive thoughts. Like, even if a negative one comes out, I try and replace it with, like, 2 positive ones. Like, I always think of that example that you said, like, this woman, like, cut you off and went into the parking space and you're saying negative things to her. And then you're like, but I'm sure you're a nice mother. But after a while, like, you train yourself to be more positive.
Yeah.
And so I always thought that was, like, fascinating advice, that this part of our brain, like, if you think about it, there's all kinds of things that do bombard us every day, and we can't focus on all of them. We can only focus on like 40 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
Yeah. And another good advice thing was kind of making that S sandwich, the it sandwich. But where if you
sandwich.
Poop sandwich, that's good. I'm like, what's another word for?
Well, that's all I thought of when you said, if you squeeze me, what's going to come out?
I'm going to hug you so hard, Laura, and see what happens after this episode.
She's like, if you squeeze an orange juice, comes out. If you squeeze me, what comes out? Like, well, if you squeeze hard enough.
No, but like back to that sandwich. So if you have to like give somebody something, bad news, or give them even like an employee or something, a bad review or whatever, it's really good to start out like appreciating them or something good about them, deliver the bad news and then finish with something positive again. Where if you just did something positive, they feel really bad. It makes them defensive, and they just think, oh, all they see is the negative. They're not, where it's going to be received better if you put it in a sandwich.
Yeah, it's true. I heard that. Like when I was manager, like say, you know what, I know you've been working really hard and like things have been going really well. There's just a couple of things that you need to pay attention to, like review your work because you make 1,000 mistakes, you idiot. And I know you're going to take this advice to heart and really make changes because that's the type of person you are. Go get them. Just kidding.
Yeah. And I like your shoes.
Nice shoes. One thing I heard, and I firmly believe this, and this is a really difficult one to do, but you're a product of your environment. You may have heard that, like, you're a product of the people that you hang around with and that kind of stuff. But somebody told me this in relation to my home and my environment. So if you find that you're getting into arguments or you're getting into fights or you're being nitpicky with your spouse or your kids or whatever, you're a product of your environment. But if you change your environment, say you're calmer, you're rational, you're trying to be positive, you're trying to be happy, you diffuse like essential oils that bring peace into your home, you create like a peaceful environment, the other people in the house will actually be calmer, be more happy, be more peaceful and everything like that. So you have the ability to change the environment around you, and it will affect the people that you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
Because I always, sometimes you think like, oh my gosh, like my son's 12 right now. And this is my 4th child. So I've been there, done that 12, 13, 14 teenager. Sometimes I'm like, God, give me patience. Fill my body with the Holy Spirit because I'm almost empty. And bad things happen when I'm empty. But, but like really, if I respond to him differently, still firm, I still want him to do things. I'm not one of those gentle parents that's like, oh, I need you to clean your room sometime, Johnny, and it'll be okay whenever it's comfortable for you. No, I'm not that gal. Like,
That's not the Laura I
that's
know.
not the 100% Italian he's dealing with. But instead of going into his room and being like, I told you 1,000 times to do this, and he's like, I forgot, I'm playing video games with my friends, I go in and I say, oh, I did ask you to do those things. Apparently you forgot. If they're not done by the next time I come in, then there's going to be consequences. And then I walk out. Nobody wants mom consequences in my house, that's for sure.
That works.
But like I'm calm and and then the job gets done and we didn't have an anger interaction.
Yeah.
So you have to take responsibility for your environment and what you're projecting in your environment and how people are responding, not just, saying, well, they're being jerks.
Yeah.
They're teenagers.
But just to piggyback a little bit off that, like real quickly, like even they say if you're smiling on the phone, people on the other end can hear it. So a lot of that is, if you're miserable, again, it's going to just Laura's smiling away like a Cheshire cat.
But look, she smiled and then she talked and you noticed the tone was different.
Yeah, but it's true. But it's one of those, like, if you want to be happy, you have to start with yourself. And it's just going to, even if you make yourself smile, you'll eventually become happier. It doesn't take that long. It just happens.
Sometimes I'm in a meeting and I'm running a meeting and I feel like the energy is low, like things are just a little too quiet, whatever. And I do this thing that I learned, laughter yoga, where you force laughter, like you do it 3 times and then everybody's laughing and everybody feels better. And then the energy's back up and then we can continue on our meeting. Yeah, it's better that way. Like, but there's all kinds of things. The day that I learned I got some advice about taking responsibility for everything that happens in my life. That was pretty good advice.
Yeah.
So I remember I stepped in the garage and I stepped on something that my husband hadn't cleaned up from working on an irrigation pump. And my immediate thought was like, oh, why didn't he clean it up? Now I have a blood blister in my foot. And then I thought, wait a second, he always tells me like not walk around in the garage barefoot. It's my fault I came out here barefoot. Like I need to take responsibility for that. And then it was just like, okay, you're an idiot. Like go out with slippers next time. And I moved on. I didn't cause an argument with my husband. I didn't keep in anger and frustration. So it's hard though to stop yourself and try and take responsibility for the things that happen in your life. Cause they're not it's not always somebody else's fault. And that was really good advice because it has solved a lot of potential arguments before they even start.
Yeah. That is definitely huge. I think that was a game changer for me.
Oh, yeah, it was a game changer for sure.
Another
the other one is not caring about what people think.
Yeah, that's big.
That's a big one. That's good advice.
Another one that I realized when it was said, a lot of times you'll make plans and then for whatever reason, the person cancels or this happens, whatever. And then I heard if something's important to them, they'll find a way. And if not, they'll find an excuse. And that really helped me hone in on, these people that constantly come up with the this. I'm not going to be so likely to reschedule with them or make them a priority in my life if I'm not going to be a priority in theirs.
Yeah, I try, if I can't be 100% certain, I say maybe or no, because and then if I show up, people are usually happy kind of thing. But no, that's huge. I remember when I started dating my husband, he used to drive a half an hour and I could only see him for 5 minutes because I had to put the kids to bed. I had to do all kinds of stuff. And he would drive a half an hour, just to see me for 5 or 10 minutes. And then he would drive all the way home. And then our daughter, later on, she was dating somebody that lived in the same town we lived in. And sometimes he wouldn't drive for 5 minutes down the street to come see her. And my husband said, if he wants to see you, he'll make time to see you. And if he doesn't, then that tells you something else. Yeah. Somebody wants to call you, they will. If they want to text you, they will. And if they don't, then they don't. And I think, okay, if somebody forgets once or sometimes, even it happened to me yesterday, I meant to text Antoinette, but then I got caught up with something else and I forgot to press send. So by the time she texted me, I saw my message and I was like, oh my God, it's basically the same message she just sent me. which is pretty funny. But if it's an accident or happens like once or what, people,
Yeah.
you give them grace.
Yeah.
But if it's a habitual thing, they're not making you a priority. And if
It's a
this
good
was the
gauge
advice,
It's a good gauge for you too, because if you find like, oh, here's a goal I have, but you just keep making excuses, it's not really a goal for you.
yeah. So this
not
was the
excited
advice.
enough.
You have to ask yourself, am I a priority or am I just an option? That was the
Yeah.
advice I got.
Yeah.
was
That's
really,
perfect. That's a
really
great
good.
way to phrase
Am
it.
I a priority or am I
Yeah.
just an option? Like if something else comes along, if another option comes along, then they're going to do that. That was really good advice.
Yeah.
One thing I've gotten a ton of advice and I try to impart it on my children. But this one's kind of funny. Like if you think that you will get gas in the morning, the answer is no. Like, get gas before you go home because mornings are usually crazy, hectic, frustrating, whatever. You're fooling yourself if you're like, I'm just going to get it in the morning. No, don't put off. Like, the more you can prepare the night before, the better off your morning goes. That was really good advice. Sometimes I even lay out my clothes or like I lay out what I need to take with me or whatever. That was like game-changing advice for my mornings. I don't wake up at 5 to walk out the door at 7:30. I wake up at 7:15 to walk out the door at 7:30.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to get gas and I don't have time to like fumble around my house, especially if some other people are sleeping and I don't want to make a lot of noise. So like doing the things you need to do the night before to prepare yourself for the morning. Like I have told myself I'll just get gas in the morning and then I get in the car and I'm like, oh, it's empty. It's a lie. It's a lie we tell ourselves.
No, I've been there.
Yeah, but getting yourself ready, getting your stuff ready the night before, great advice.
I did that this morning. I hardly ever do that. And I did that this morning and I was very proud of myself.
Isn't it so much better? Like the morning goes so much smoother and it like sets your whole day up like on the right foot. Now the day may fall to poop later, but cooking advice I got, because I'm all Italian and I like to cook big meals anyway, and I just can't cook for like 2 people, but always cook big meals if you don't like to cook and freeze stuff. So like, say you're like, well, it's just me. Well, if you cook like spaghetti bolognese for just you, then it takes just almost as much effort to make it for you. But if you cook for 5 people, you take out your portion and then you freeze 3 or 4 other portions in the freezer. Then a month from now, when you want spaghetti bolognese, you just take it out, put it in the pan, it's done. It's like
And you're probably more likely to make better meals for yourself too. Then
that was good advice. Like always cook for a lot of people and freeze the leftovers.
I think another thing that I thought was really interesting where they said comparison steals joy. And I started thinking about that and it, like the different scenarios of, let's say, for example, you get this great Valentine's Day gift from your significant other and you're like, oh, it was so sweet. He did this, this, and this. And now all of a sudden you're talking with your neighbor and they're like, oh, well, I got, not trying to one up you, but, they're just like, oh, Bob was great. And we went here and he did this and then he surprised. And she's just overjoyed. Now all of a sudden you're comparing it to what you got. And it was a very thoughtful gift. And yet now you hate it.
Now your little teddy bear with your box of chocolates doesn't seem so special anymore. You like put him in the corner.
Yeah, and I
Bad
think
teddy bear.
Or well, but I think the other thing is,
it's true. You should be happy for your friend.
Just be happy.
But be happy for yourself.
Yeah, they're in a totally different relationship. They have a totally different dynamic. Like. I know a lot of people, they hesitate in telling me stuff. They're like, oh, I don't want to make you mad. Like if they got a really great big win or, they had this, let's say we're both striving for, I don't know, something like when I was in the work environment or something. And it's like, if you did this, you would place in this level and you get to go on the company cruise or something. So they got it and I didn't. They're like, so I'd be like, how's the cruise? They're like, oh, I don't want to rub it in your face. I'm like, you're not rubbing it in my. I'm like, I am generally happy that you got this great reward. I don't think you're me. I don't want to be you.
No, I know. That would be like me not sharing my relationship with you because you're not in a relationship.
That makes no sense.
Why? How do you build a relationship with friends then?
Yeah, it's just
Although
crazy.
the funny thing is that you just talked about Valentine's Day and you talked about a cruise and we're going on a cruise to the Bahamas for Valentine's Day this year.
Look at that.
And when I mean we. But no, my husband's going too. But like, there's a bunch of us going. But Antoinette, I get to spend Valentine's Day with Antoinette and my husband.
Yeah, and you get to see me drunk.
Ooh. And she gets to see us not drunk because we don't drink. But but we will have vivid memories because we're sober. So the advice that I've gotten, that my daughter got, this wasn't even advice for me because I don't drink. Like, I think I'm good at a lot of things. Geography's not one. I don't think I'm good at drinking, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But my daughter got very good advice. She went to Florida State University. She partook in everything that college life has to offer. And somebody told her that drink enough water so that like your teeth are literally floating before you go out and drink and you won't have a hangover the next day. And she has tried that, and that's been very good advice for her. Ooh. Like, because dehydration, I guess, I'm not a medical professional, is what causes major hangovers. And so if you're going to a wedding or you're going to a celebration, just because I don't drink, it doesn't mean I don't think people can drink responsibly. But if you drink a lot of water before you go out, especially if you're older and you don't recover as well as a 20-year-old or 21-year-old, because drinking age is 21. Drink a lot of water. That was good advice for her. She when she remembers, she says it's good. But she's getting older, and now she's realized that, you have to wake up and go to work the next day. So
not always.
But it's funny how like college kids like stop drinking when they get out of college when they turn 21. That's the drinking age.
Now that I'm legal, I can
stop.
Not
legal, forget it. It's not fun anymore.
But I think just even on the whole topic of advice, I think one of the key things is, when you listen to understand, not to respond. Because I think a lot of people, especially when they're talking with people, they're talking and all they're thinking in their head is like, okay, when they stop, I'll say this. And when they stop, I'll say this. And really listen to what they're saying, because you miss a lot of a conversation if all you're thinking is, what am I going to respond next?
And you don't learn anything if you don't listen to other people.
And a lot of times, sometimes like what the conversation might go a totally different dynamic than you were envisioning in your head. That might be better or more open, and you'll feel a better connection with the people too, because it gets to the point too where friends that you have, the ones you value the most, are the ones that understand and listen to you.
Yeah, sure. Some dating advice I had gotten from my
do tell. Let me get my notebook.
Yeah, my friends. My friend's mom, she gave me this advice when I had gotten a divorce and started dating. And she said, don't date anybody you wouldn't marry. And I said, really? Like, how do you know, if you want to marry them, like right off the bat? She said, if they have qualities that you don't want for the long term, then stop dating them, because you may fall in love with somebody that you wouldn't want to marry if you continue to date them, because love can develop in that way. And then you're stuck in a situation where you're with somebody that you don't really want to marry. So like, say you go on a first date or a second date or whatever, and you want to have children with this person, and they exhibit qualities that you do not respect in a father figure, like, don't date them anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's it's good advice. Don't date somebody that you wouldn't marry. Even if you don't want to get married, that's the point. Like, don't date somebody that doesn't have the qualities that you would want to marry.
I heard something somewhat similar where it's like, I think a lot of women go into this category. I don't think men have this problem, where they see the person's potential. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh,
I have that major problem. I'm always seeing potential.
No, but it's like one of those, like, you have to basically just go, if this person didn't change, would you want your child to have these same characteristics? And that puts it in a totally different perspective. So let's say they're, I don't know, really irresponsible with money or whatever. Like, somebody was asking on this one thing, they're like, would you rather have a broke person who's faithful or a rich person who cheats? And I'm like, I wouldn't want anybody irresponsible in any facet of their life, whether it's with money or with women or with anything.
Yeah, why does it have to be either or? Can we have both?
I'd rather have none than...
She's like, I'd rather have the broke person that cheats. Like, obviously. Like,
no, but I just think it's one of those, you got to really, like, just go, okay, if nothing changed about this person, would you want your child to be like that? Because they might very well be,
This is the thing about, like, financially, because that's my profession, people think like, well, you should not be with somebody because they're broke. And yes, there's all kinds of scenarios, but you have to look at qualities, right? So I shot professional archery at one point in my life, and when I went back into the CPA world, the partner said to me, "I'm hiring you because you shot professional archery." I was like, "Wouldn't you be hiring me because I'm a CPA and my accounting degree?" Like, maybe
Call me crazy.
maybe HR should be in on this conversation. He said, no, the qualities to reach a level of professional athlete require self-discipline. They require self-motivation. They require all these attributes that we want in a person. So when you look at somebody that maybe doesn't take care of themselves with health, or they don't, they haven't become successful financially, or they go out and they cheat or whatever, the qualities of that behavior are probably qualities that you don't want. So the broke or the overweight or whatever are symptoms of bad behavior.
Yeah.
So you have to look at like the underlying root. That's good advice that I've gotten, and I have taken it and like gone, you need to be an advocate for your body and your medical diagnosis.
Yeah.
So like so many times, I just recently had this issue where, because I'm past 45, that when I went to the female doctor, they were like, "Oh, well, this showed up, and so now you need this." And I'm like, "If I was 45, would I need it?" And they're like, "No, but now you're in a higher risk." I'm like, "Well, then pretend I'm 3 years younger, because I'm not doing that." Like, and I researched on my own, and I pushed back. Because they're looking at like just a form. They're not looking at Laura. They're looking at a form and it says 48 years old. This showed up on her test. We need to do this.
Yeah.
They're not looking at the whole picture. And I know me better than they do.
And
so you have to be an advocate.
Just a side note, because I had just a doctor's appointment with my mom the other day, and she was having, in my family, we really don't take prescription medicine in general. We're not advocates for whatever. I mean, if something happens and whatever, you develop this horrible infection and you need an antibiotic, like I get it. But they put her on something for high cholesterol, and she just wasn't doing well with it. And I said, "You know what, just stop, And she's like, "What am I going to tell him?" I go, "I'll deal with it, So we went there, and I just explained she was having, all sorts of issues. And the doctor was like, "Well, she might get dropped from insurance and what." And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "This doesn't seem right to me. That you have to keep on medicine with adverse, like that makes no sense." So I looked it up into a little bit more by what he said. He's going to be held responsible.
Oh, yeah.
For having, a certain amount of compliance to what that has nothing to do with you. So he's looking out for his best interest.
Oh, yeah.
You got to look out for yours. So just because
That's
your doctor says something to you, it's likely because it's in his best interest or her best interest.
Or their protocol for everybody.
Yeah.
And you're an individual, unique person.
Yeah.
So advocate for yourself.
Yeah, follow your gut. Do, especially when it comes to things like cancer and stuff like that, they know they have to push to get you into these like one of three buckets. The fourth bucket might be your better option, but they're not even allowed to even tell you that because it's not part of their protocol. So just because your doctor doesn't say it doesn't mean it's the right
And sometimes, advice. Doctors can only know so much information. And they can only spend so much time with each patient.
Yeah.
Like they can't get to know you. So be an advocate for your health. And sometimes you do need to take their advice and do what they need to do. But sometimes there's 16 different ways to get to the same conclusion. So we got to wrap it up again.
Oh, it goes so
We
quick.
love spending time with each other and you. But the next topic is going to be a fun one. It's like things that they should be small. And there was this book that I read that says like, don't sweat the small stuff. But sometimes these small things just like chip away at you. I had this sign somebody gave me when I was raising like my younger chicklets. And it said raising children was like being pecked to death by a chicken. Like, and I often think about that. It's just like peck until finally you're like, lose my mind. But there's small things that people do that irritate you. We're going to talk about that on the next episode of Chick Chat and Chill. Yeah. So close us out, Antoinette.
Yeah. So until then, never stop laughing
and never stop learning. We'll see you soon.